Well, each panel has a connector, as you see here, and they're already pre-wired with short lengths of cable so that you can connect one to the other in series and add the voltages together. Like I mentioned before, we want to see about 450 to 600 volts is what the inverter wants to see. So we connect those together, and each one of these cables, special connector on the end that's waterproof and weatherproof, and this cable is made to last for a long, long time.
Guy, let me ask you a question about the system once it's fully installed, and that is really what kind of maintenance does the district have to consider once the system is fully operational?
Maintenance is fairly simple. The most important thing to do is keep them clean. As you know, dust, rain is actually dirty, believe it or not, and so rain won't necessarily clean them off. It may even add some dirt to it, depending on the kind of rain we get. So the best thing to do is to keep them clean by washing them regularly. You can actually cut the efficiency by at around 10%, maybe more, maybe less, depending on how dirty the air is. And in California, it hasn't been known for the most clean air all the time. We have a monitoring system downstairs I'll tell you about in a little bit that will also allow us to know how efficiently the system is working and actually compare the system to other schools in the nation. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but I'd also like to show you, as far as keeping them clean, we decided to add, you can see the copper pipe here, there's a hose there, and you can get a sneak look here or a look over here at the copper pipe. We actually brought water up to the roof so that we could make it easy to wash the panels on a regular basis. And we put 3 of them on the roof, spaced apart so that we didn't have to run around with a hose draped over the panels. We can actually, they're long enough to go around and easy to maintain or keep wound up and easy to secure. Now here's something interesting that you'll want to know about. I mentioned the strings of 15. Well, each string of 15 then connects to the main, or at least connects all together in a box called a combiner box. All this does is connect all the strings, 7 of them in this case, all together into one, and that one comes out and goes to a disconnect, which is located over there, which we'll show you in a few minutes. That's simply a switch. And from that switch, it goes over the wall and down to the electrical room, which is in the basement of this building. And that's where the inverter is located. We can walk over here.
Okay. Yes, that looks familiar.
These are the DC disconnects that I was telling you about. And we need 2 of them to handle the power. And you can see that that conduit runs over the edge of the building, and that goes down to the electrical room where the inverter is. What I was going to explain, and we probably should have done that over there, but the interesting thing for our installers is the fact, and I found it interesting when I first learned about solar panels and installation, is that when you're installing these things during the day, they're live. It's like installing a battery. If you short them, you got a problem. Because they're producing current the second they see daylight. And so the connectors actually are made such that it's very hard to touch the bare wires because they're in sleeves and jackets. But when you connect them together, you do want to keep in mind that they're live while you're putting them together.
That hadn't even occurred to me.
It didn't to me until I watched the installation. So here we have the inverter that I was talking about. The designer elected for security reasons, to put the inverter in the electrical room. Often these are kept outside, but we didn't want to have any concerns about vandalism or even anybody getting into it by mistake and getting hurt. So decided to put it down here in the electrical room. And we had, and so this inverter, as I mentioned before, it converts the DC current and voltage to AC. And the AC is 3-phase. It's in sync with the power that you get from this main panel, the PG&E panel on this side. So that can tie directly into the main and will be tied in a couple of days. And when we turn it on, we'll run that meter over there backwards.
Right. The wheel will go backwards.
Which means we're putting power out into PG&E's system. And I should mention that the reason for connecting to the PG&E system, as opposed to having storage batteries and holding the power for yourself when you're not using it, is that it's less expensive. Batteries are expensive, and they're also difficult to maintain, and they wear out more quickly. Whereas, in effect, what we're doing is by giving the power to PG&E at times when they need it, in effect, they're storing it for us, and it doesn't cost you anything for them to store it. So it's like having your own battery for free, and a big one at that. And of course, that power going out into the system is helping other people as well. Now, one of the things we are also doing, and I mentioned a little bit on the roof, and it will get installed down here, and that is there's a system for monitoring all this that's happening, and it's made by a company called Fat Spaniel. Interesting name. The Fat Spaniel system, the initial system, and then the one that the district bought, it monitors the output, the power output of the panels of the solar system. And you can watch it on a regular basis, and you can even pull up a history over a period of time, daily, weekly, monthly, to see how your system is doing.